Hello everyone, it's Michael.azar here. Welcome back to the channel. And before we begin today's video, I just want to say thank you for helping me reach 2,500 subscribers on the channel. Now, I haven't been able to upload as much recently, just because of large exams and big music projects I've been working on. But still, nonetheless, the channel still has grown, which is thank God it's not died yet. And this is a video that I've been thinking about recently, and it's how to become a proficient chanter in 3 months. Oftentimes, I hear people give timelines that, it takes 4 years to become a chanter that's proficient. It takes, just whatever time it is to become a Proto-Psaltes. In reality, I think timelines are arbitrary, and it's all a matter of the resources you have access to and how much time you're putting into it. So, let's talk about a couple of caveats before we go into like 3 months, 13 weeks or 13 lessons. So, the first thing is, if you are trying to learn Byzantine chant, you can't take a passive approach to learning. You have to practice at least an hour a day. Now, there are other, there are different practice techniques and different practice methods, but still, I think you should practice at least an hour a day if you're starting off with Byzantine chant. The reason why is that you have to have the time to work with this material enough that your brain can make those connections. For most musicians, I know for piano, I at least put in 2 to 3 hours a day on average. A lot of vocalists, 1 to 2 hours a day. A lot of instrumentalists, anywhere from 1.5 to 7 to 8 hours a day. I mean, really just depends on the profession of music, but still at least an hour a day for practice if you want to get anywhere in music. The reason why is because you can't really interact with the music on a complete enough level within 5 minutes. You should give yourself an hour to really delve into the music, and this helps make stronger connections in your brain. So make sure you're putting aside at least an hour for practicing a day. The other thing is you got to find a private teacher or someone that can guide you. So in the old days, the way it worked is that you always served under a Proto-Psaltes, and maybe the church, maybe they have classes, or they have someone to teach, or they hire a seminarian for the summer to teach. But the way it would be is that you would serve under someone. And if you don't have a teacher, it's very hard to learn chant on your own, and at least in the authentic and manner that's according to the oral tradition. You can learn chant online from my channel, but there's a lot of small things like ornaments and attractions that occur at one place that, or you have, different ideas that it's hard to express over a video and in depth, and a lot of times you can just really only observe it through hearing it in person. Learning online is by yourself is not as helpful as having a teacher, and it is a bit of an investment if you do end up having to pay for private lessons, but I think it's an investment worth making. In the parable of the talents, when the story is the owner gave his servants talents, 5, 2, and 1, and the kind of the moral of the story, don't bury your talents. If you're spending the money on private lessons, don't go and don't practice, right? It's something where it's like, I'm putting the investment and time into this so I can work harder on this. I know, it's a bit of a pain they have to pay for lessons, but ultimately it also encourages you to practice, because it's like, now I'm wasting this money if I'm not practicing. And it's a weird way to think about it, but it really does help. The other thing is that you are supporting, Byzantine chant teachers, and a lot of times they're not paid by the churches they're at. So this is, it's a nice way to help out the music community as well. But the other thing is that a private teacher can really curate what you need to your personal desires. Not desires, I mean personal needs. Oftentimes I find that when I'm practicing piano, it's like, well, what do I do next? And then I have a teacher that just like, try this. Like, that's actually like right at the level I need it. That's like the perfect level of difficulty. Oftentimes a teacher will give you that. And the third thing, of course, besides practicing and having a teacher, is you should be at the chanter stand. Even if you don't know how to chant, get permission from your priest or the Proto-Psaltes. Learn how to do ison. Maybe after church, ask one of the isokratima people or isokratis, how do I do ison? That helps. or you at least observe how the function of chanting works. If you go and just say, I'm going to learn chanting without chanting, okay, again, the parable of the talents. You're bearing your talent, but also you're not doing the real life experience to learn these things. It's very hard to learn chanting in the abstract. When it's very concrete and you're using it, then it's easy to see it. Even if you're just standing there looking at how people are reading the music and you're not seeing the music, that's still an effective way to learn and see how they are interpreting the music. You can learn how they do ornaments for certain things. Especially, let's say I learn an ornament and I'm hearing how a chanter is doing them, and now you can kind of put two and two together. So here's like the 13 weeks as an idea. And what are 13 lessons that might help? If let's say, the way you would do this is week 1 you learn this concept, each day you practice it. Week 2 you learn a concept, each day you practice it. Week 3 you learn a concept, each day you practice it. So the first week, the first thing you gotta do is memorize the Paralegi scale. This is crucial. If you don't know ni pavu gadika zoni, like the back of your hand, none of these efforts are gonna work, because Paralegi is kind of like the, if you're having a Byzantine chant car, it's the steering wheel, right? This is what's gonna help you navigate. If you don't have the Paralegi scale memorized, you cannot learn anything in an effective manner. You can learn things, but it will take so much time and really hurt. So my recommendation for memorizing the Paralegi scale is to sing it 50 times a day. It's a lot. Yeah, 50 times a day is not nothing. 50 times a day is 5 times 10. But when you look at the math and do the numbers, let's say the scale takes 7 seconds to sing. 7 times 50 is 350 seconds. If you do the math, there are 60 seconds in a minute. That's not even 6 minutes of singing. My recommendation is, if you're going to chant the scale, chant it slow, and try to intently listen to the scale and try to hear the next note in your head. And when you do it slowly, it allows the brain to make those connections and work. When you just kind of do it autopilot, you're not helping anything. You're just kind of doing gimmicks, right? If you take it slow, maybe at that pace, it gives your brain time to process what you're singing. Again, 50 times a day should really just solidify it. Also, week 1, learn up 1, down 1, and ison. The reason why is because these are kind of like the basic characters, but they also teach you how to navigate the scale in an effective manner. And it really goes in hand with the Paralegi scale very well. Again, making sure you put in an hour a day. So if you do that, that will definitely help to give you a very good foundation. The other thing is, for week 2 then, introduce the Kendimata and introduce the Petasti. So the 2 other basic foundational characters for up 1 and down. And you'll find that, if you have a teacher, they'll show you what that is. But in addition to that, learn the time characters. Klasma, hapli, dipli, tripli. That should be the second week. Again, practicing for an hour. So after 2 weeks, you have Paralegi scale memorized. You have up 1, down 1, and say the same, pretty solid, maybe mastered. And then you have all the timing characters for adding time down. That's actually a lot in 2 weeks, and it's not hard to get them all. But once you get them down, it makes learning a lot easier. Week 3, learn up 2 and down 2, and learn the combination characters. So it's the characters that you learn from weeks 1 and 2, but you're just putting them in combination. So they're kind of economical characters, so they just save space and group notes in a more effective manner. If you learn the combination characters and up 2, down 2 on week 3, you'll find that now you basically know the fundamentals for a lot of the music. So maybe if you have a teacher, they'll start assigning some music. But learning, practicing an hour a day was going to really help to solidify these things. And learning it in this manner, it's not in order of a lot of the typical schools where it's like up 1 to up 7. This is actually a more effective way, because you're essentially just picking ideas you've learned and just using them. instead of trying to relearn the wheel 10 times. Week 4 should be up 3 and down 3. So week 4, when I say up 3 down 3, the fourth, it's the most common interval after the third, and it's used all the time. So again, an hour a day, and when I say an hour a day, also include the stuff you learned from before, not just the material of that week. Week 5, learn the Gorgon, not the Trigorgon, not the Digorgon, and not the Gorgon, just the plain Gorgon, and learn how it applies to combination characters. This is probably one of the harder weeks. Again, putting an hour a day and taking your time, being patient with practice, and making sure you're diligent not to mess things up and do it as it's written. This will really help solidify things. And now with the Gorgon learned, you can start learning music. So now with week 6, my recommendation would be to learn up 4 and down 4. It's not, it's the 5th. It's also a common interval, but it's not too hard to hear it. And start with tone 1. Learning tone 1 is not that hard, because if you're singing knee to knee, you already know the scale. Now you just got to start from pa instead of knee. And again, this is after a month and a half of chanting. It's not like you're learning tone 1 just from off the fly. The other thing is that now you can start learning music, because you know the Gorgon from the previous week and a lot of the foundational characters. Week 7, learn up 5, down 5, and up 6, down 6. Why are we putting so many intervals together? In reality, those intervals are just kind of not used as much. Up 5 is a 6th, up 6 to the 7th. You don't see it too frequently. But if you understand the difference between the two, it's pretty helpful. This would also be in addition to learning more repertoire. So if you practicing an hour a day, you would also practice more music. Week 8 would be to learn the enharmonic scale. The enharmonic scale is very similar to the diatonic scale in a couple elements. At least the way that the diatonic scale is taught from knee. You're not working too far away from that sound. Yes, the tuning is different, but it's not so different to a point that it's like difficult. So week 8, learning the enharmonic scale, and you'll find that it won't be as hard to learn some of the other scales. Week 9, learn up 7, and then introduce the soft chromatic scale. The soft chromatic scale is by far the hardest scale in Byzantine chant, just because to sing it correctly requires knowing what you're listening for, and then also knowing how to execute it. And it's not an easy scale to hear, because if you sing it wrong, which a lot of times people do, you get it confused with the hard chromatic scale or the diatonic scale. In reality, there is a very subtle line, but once you get it, you realize like it's very bright but mystical sound. Tone 6 hard chromatic scale, you can say is a dark and it's not a sound that is as happy. Tone 2 can give a happy sound, but keeping that mystical sense to it. So it takes a bit of time, but it's a great scale. So week 9, we'll be introducing it. Week 10 would be going more in depth with it. Learning more hymnography with it. I do think it probably takes 2 weeks, an hour a day to really, even if it's like 20 minutes of the hour a day is looking at the soft chromatic scale. It does take that much time to really get the scale down, because it is like learning a language. You gotta interact with it enough. So week 10 would be just more soft chromatic scale. Week 11 would be learning the Digorgon, learning the Gorgon, and learning the Trigorgon. Now the Digorgon and the Gorgon, including the dotted Digorgon, are very common in many hymns. The Trigorgon, it's used, but it's not as commonly used. But you'll see it. So it's you'll see it maybe once or twice a service, versus the Digorgon you might see maybe a dozen times a service depending on the this type of hymn you're singing. Gorgon you would see maybe 24 times a service or something like that. It's all over the place. So make sure that when you learn this, you're taking your time, but these characters um, are really really crucial. So don't go and just skip over them. Make sure that you learn how to interpret them right and how to analyze them right, because it does affect a lot of the music. Week 12, learn the hard chromatic scale. Um, why am I putting the soft chromatic scale for the hard chromatic scale? The reason why is because if you learn the hard chromatic scale, it's very hard to unhear it. Um, the soft chromatic scale is a lot more delicate. So I'm of the perspective it's better to learn the more delicate scale at first, then learn the less delicate scale. Just because if you learn the less delicate scale first, the sound might start to affect how you learn the soft chromatic scale. Everyone's different. You might not be like that, but that would be my that's how I would really see that. Um, and then the 13th week, the end of the 3 months, learn doxastikon. Doxastikon, they're kind of like the pinnacle of a service for Orthros or for Vespers. They're quite beautiful hymns, but they can be quite complex, and they can offer a lot of different techniques, all put together. Um, Now, no, there's a couple things that I didn't put in this program, which would be ornament characters. As you look at music, so like, um, week 6, when I say start with like learning music in tone 1, as you start learning music, you'll find that you'll see characters that are ornament characters. Again, if you have a a chanter or a private teacher, they'll go through those characters with you as you see them. I don't think it's beneficial to go through all the ornament characters at once. I think it's more beneficial to go through them as you see them. So as you work through the music, you'll find that learn them. The other thing is vocal technique. Um, you can really injure yourself singing if you do it wrong. If you have a good teacher who knows how to sing vocal technique, who knows how to sing and has good vocal technique, um, you know, they'll probably talk to you about breathing and singing so you don't hurt yourself. If not, I have a couple videos out there, but it might be worth investing in a private vocal coach. Um, there's a couple good organizations, but if you're kind of confused where to go, see if you can find a local university or someone that has someone that has like a doctorate in vocal performance or vocal coaching and or vocal health. Those people, a lot of times, depending on where they are, they might not charge as much as even some of the private vocal teachers, just because they already get money from the university. Um, they might help, but there's a lot of options for vocal technique. Um, but the whole point of that is so you don't hurt yourself. Um, so, you know, the important thing is, with all these things, I know 13 weeks is 3 months. It's not going to take 3 months to learn how to become a part of Celtes. But after 3 months, you would have learned the notation. You would have learned the 4 scales. Even if the 4 scales are not known as well as they could be, you have a very solid foundation for continuing to chant. And of course, putting an hour a day and learning more music after 3 months is important too. So you make sure everything is not only maintained, but that you're also growing as a musician. I'm of the perspective that if you're not growing as a musician, you're getting worse. I remember when I was younger, maybe 17, 18, maybe 19, my sight reading skills in Byzantine chant were like phenomenal. I could read anything. I always and then I, of course, being busy with school, I ended up not really sight reading as much as I was at one point, just because I was focusing on different types of music. That my Byzantine chant sight reading got a little bit worse because I wasn't using it as much. So again, same thing with anything in music. When you don't use it, you're probably going to lose it. So make sure that after 3 months, it's not just like it's a magic number. You keep learning. And this is not an easy program. An hour a day is a lot. It is tiring, but it is worth it. You can ask any musician who is solid in their craft. It's not just spamming practicing. It's not just practicing for an hour for the sake of an hour's sake. It's giving yourself time to make that problem solving possible. A lot of music is just problem solving. A lot of times people are lazy and don't want to problem solve because it's hard. Music was never an easy thing. I don't think anyone has ever said, music is so easy. It's always that music is one of the hardest um, endeavors you can really do in life, because it requires both the intellect to understand music, requires a lot of mastery of hand-eye coordination, or at least in this case voice-eye coordination, requires a very strong ear, and it's kind of using all the senses of the body except for maybe like smell. But there's a lot of things that go into music. So with all these things, remember, just be patient with yourself. 3 months can be 6 months, can be 12 months. I mean, it's okay. Think of it like, I can put an hour a day for a month, and then I get busy with work. Well, then I can put 15 minutes a day at least to maintain things. Okay, now that I'm not less busy with work, I'm going to put an hour a day. Okay, now work got busy again, or school got busy again. Let me go and try 15 minutes a day just to upkeep, and then I'll work again. Again, 12 months to become a proficient chanter is still better than never. It's still better than 4, 5, 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10 years, right? Yeah, it's hard. It requires lots of discipline, but I assure you, if you put in the work, and approach it from an area of humility, and that I want to serve the church, and use that as encouragement, and as well as love for the music, you will find that the hour will fly by. So thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, I'll greatly appreciate if you liked and subscribed and shared it to anyone you think that would find this video interesting. Other than that, please keep on the lookout for any other future videos with some music performances in it. Keep me in your prayers. I will be taking the MCAT and end of the month of March. So if I'm not uploading by then, you know why. But I appreciate you guys so much, and thank you for 2,500 subscribers. I'll see you in the next one, and have a great day.